Hello, Arizona. This message is to all of you, and especially for all of you outside of Arizona who don't think this is happening to you, because I'm here to tell you it is. Now, for those of you who live in Arizona, yes, this is a campaign sign. Yes, I am still running for the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. But this goes a little bit outside of that because it's a bigger issue. Even though the Maricopa County Recorder's Office does still basically run the elections, still records all the registered voters, still counts all the votes, still runs all the early voting, still runs the early ballot system, and due to some technical errors in management between the new person in charge of the polling places and the counter supervisors, and yes, Mr. Fontes as well, we are now going to have 80% fewer polling places to vote in the primary that's coming up here in Arizona, starting actually on Wednesday, when they'll begin mailing the early ballots out as well as opening early polling places. But this is to cover a problem we're going to have and we've talked about before, but the reality of it is getting worse. You can now see what the Democrats, or what I call the Socialist Democrats, are up to and all the things they've been doing. There was an arrangement made by former Secretary of State Reagan, Attorney General still in office Brnovich, and then signed off on by Governor Ducey to allow the federal registration form to be used to register voters in Arizona. And this is done without any kind of auditing. They do not check to see if these people are citizens when they register them, and they don't go back and check it later. So think about what's really going on here. And this isn't just happening in Arizona. This game is going on all over the country. And if you really think about it, and a lot of people I know don't want to think about it, but you better, you've got a lot of what they call swing states. They've now said Arizona's a swing state. Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, etc. are swing states. We'll see. But the problem is when you're using those forms to register voters with no proof of citizenship, which is basically, it's required on our state forms in Arizona and other states, but not the federal one. They can use that anywhere with no proof at all. And if you think about all the illegals that still live in this country, and that includes, yes, the dreamers, because you are illegally in our country as well. I don't care how old you were when you were brought here. Just because somebody is brought into my home by somebody doesn't make them part of my family. And when you bring somebody into our home, which is our nation, you're not part of our family. And for you to grow up knowing there's lies going on, especially for those who were older when they got here, and then demanding things from us, you demand this, you demand that, who the hell do you think you are? You are illegally within this country of America. You're within our borders illegally. Illegally. And if you're caught, and your parents are caught, you should all be deported. I know some people don't like that. And then get in line with everybody else that's had to come in legally. That's fair. That's equitable. To do anything else is not just. It doesn't follow the rule of law that we brag about so much in our court system, and all the liberal judges say, we have a rule of law here, and we have to abide by it. That isn't lessened until it comes up to certain things, like that piece of crap Roberts that's on the Supreme Court with some of his rulings lately. Well, first was the Obama deal, now this latest one. This guy's a piece of work. But then Bush put him on the court, knowing all along what he was really like. Because he is not what you call a constitutional conservative. He's an opportunist. He's looking for his own history, not ours. Doesn't care about ours. But to the voting, do you really believe that this voting is going to be done legally and above board? That everybody that's voting is going to be okay? I'm telling you it's not. The federal form proves it. I believe here in Arizona they say it's close to 300,000 people have used that because they've been out on college campuses and high school campuses getting anybody to register on these forms that'll be 18 by the time of the general election. Even if they're not 18 by the primary. As long as they're 18 by the general, they can vote. And look at all the riots and all the crap that's been going on in the streets and all this other nonsense, turning over statues. I mean, they've been damaging statues of people that were actually pro-freedom. Can you believe that? They really did that. It's hard to believe, but they did it. They've damaged statues. They're ridiculing people. They don't give a damn. I'm going to do a show on do Black Lives Matter to the Black Lives Matter movement. because I don't believe they do. But watch out for what's going to go on with the mail-in ballots, and especially the early mail-in ballots. Not so much the, ballots people mail in like our overseas guys, the military, because they're out of the country or out of state. But the people that are living in the state that use forms. I got something in the mail the other day. It's my voter book on new clean elections here in Arizona, for most of you who are familiar with it. And I found it really kind of funny and fascinating to me, because I know that, I don't like the little press 1, press 2 thing on my phone. I don't believe most of you do. And I resent this even more. When our Constitution gives every U.S. citizen the right to vote, that's every U.S. citizen has the right to vote. I don't know how in the world you can vote if you can't read. I really don't. But here's the form I got, right? Voter education guide, correct? From Arizona. See, there's the stars, right? The whole thing, right? Now, look at this. In Spanish. Why do we do that? Why in the world are we doing this in Spanish? Why are we mailing out a voter form in Spanish to people? They can't read English? If they can't read English, I don't know. How do they read our road signs? How do they order off menus? How do they do a lot of things in this country? Because I know when I go to stores, basically everything's in English. Aisle 1, aisle 2, aisle 3, it's not uno, dos, tres, cuatro. It's these aisles. It's not in French, not in Spanish, not in German. It's in English. And English is a world-renowned language. Every country in the world speaks it. Whether it's Mexico, France, Spain, Russia, China, they all speak English. Why is that? Because the English-speaking language is the most powerful language as far as money goes, trade, and everything else. And we all know it. Look, you've got America, you've got Canada, you've got England, you've got Australia. Try not doing business with those 4 places. See how it works. It won't work too well for you. Then we've got a lot of provinces and territories that are included in this. We need to be extra careful this election cycle and make definitely sure that we're not going to have the problems we've had before. And if you see anybody cheating, you're at the polls, because there's going to be early polls open starting this week, and then they'll open some more and some more to make up. They're going to extend the line here in Arizona. No matter what state you're in, if you see anything questionable, you've got a smartphone. Take a picture of it. Report it. Call somebody. Don't allow this to happen. If you see people carrying in boxes of ballots to dump them off, demand something be done. Don't just sit quietly by and let our republic be taken away from us. Mr. Biden said the other day he wants to transform America. I think we had about enough of that nonsense with Obama, because he's ruined this country. And the Democrats have been ruining cities in this country for decades. Look at them. Look at what's going on in Chicago. Children killed over the weekend. All those 14 dead. Two little kids killed. And they don't do a damn thing about it. Nothing. It's not getting better. They've killed more this year than they have last year. And that was 12 months, and we're only in the 7th. We've got to fix this nation. I know that. But we're not going to fix it with rioting and tearing down statues. The ones from the Civil War, hey, you know what? You can take those, put them in museums. I don't care. But don't start tearing down statues of Frederick Douglass and other people. Don't do that. Grant, Lincoln. What's wrong with you? I know. We don't really teach history in our schools anymore. Our public school system is basically run by a bunch of socialists and liberals. If they're not socialists, they're just liberal. Either way, we don't need it. They don't have the history that I was taught when I was growing up. Yeah, and I was taught some of the history that wasn't real pleasant to learn. Things that they told us about certain presidents we had and other people. But I'll say this in closing to you. Are we a perfect nation? No. Were we given the right to be a nation by the blood of others to become a perfect union? Yes. And if it hadn't have been for those moves by those people, we wouldn't be where we are today. Try to understand. We're not where we're going, but we're farther than where we were. And we ought to all thank God for that. I thank God for every American citizen that understands that. And for all of you that do, share it with your family, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, people at work. Share it with people. We're not perfect, but we're working on it. There are places in this world that would be a hell of a lot worse to live for most of the people that live in this country that are complaining so much about it. If you don't believe that, send them over to the Middle East somewhere or parts of North Africa. See how they like it over there. They won't. Some people ought to thank God that they got here the way they did. I know that our founders, the Pilgrims that came over here in the 1600s, they're glad. They're happy. They were happy to get here. They were fleeing religious persecution in England. That's why they came. Our U.S. history is important to learn. It is important to learn and should be taught in the schools, and it's not. I want to thank you for your time. Yes, I am running for Maricopa County Recorder. Yes, you're going to be getting early ballots this year. I hope you mark mine. That's Claire Van Steenwyk. I want to thank all of you for listening to this, for viewing and listening. I hope you'll share it with others, because we have an election cycle here, and if we're not careful, if we're not really, really careful and vigilant here and go out and vote ourselves, we could end up a communist country within the next 20 years. Once again, God bless you. Have a great day, and I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. Bye for now.